Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are making a keto-friendly pizza. Let's go. First things first, let's set the oven to preheat at 180 degrees Celsius. We're using fresh mushrooms today, so it's a good idea to give them a gentle rinse. We're going to be using these to top our pizza, so you can slice as many as you like. Once done, just set them aside and smash that like button if you're enjoying my scraper skills. We're going to be making a fathead dough, and the main ingredient is mozzarella cheese. So we're just going to measure out about 100 grams and proceed to grate it in a food processor. Now I made a mistake here and I didn't freeze my cheese beforehand, so it was too soft to be grated using a machine. And as a result of which, I was very confused when I looked inside and I said, where'd all my cheese go? Luckily, I found the missing cheese and disaster was averted. But for future reference, if you're going to grate cheese, try and freeze it beforehand or just chop it with a knife, which is what I'm about to do here. All this chopping and grating is just to help the cheese melt a little faster, because to make the dough we have to warm up the cheese and then mix it with other ingredients. Basically, finesse is not required here. To melt the cheese, we're going to be using a double boiler. So let's take a saucepan, fill it up with some water and put it on the heat. Next, we're going to measure out 35 grams of almond flour. We're going to place a large heat-proof bowl on top of our saucepan, into which we are going to add our beautifully grated mozzarella. There's going to be very gentle heat coming from the bubbling water underneath, so the mozzarella is going to take a few minutes to start to melt. To our almond flour, we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, of which I do not appear to have enough. Also, we'll add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of dried oregano. Then we're going to go check on our mozzarella, which is melting very nicely indeed. And let's take it off the heat and add in our dry ingredients. This should form our fathead dough. Optionally, you can add an egg at this point as well, but I'm trying to go egg-free in this recipe just as an experiment. Moving quickly so we can form our pizza crust while the dough is still warm, we're going to take some silicone sheets or some parchment paper, slightly grease them with some olive oil, and then proceed to form our pizza crust. Here's a pro tip: rub some olive oil onto your palms so that the dough doesn't stick to your hands. Just press the dough out into a large circular shape, and then we'll start rolling in the edges to form our crust. Once your dough is all rolled up and looking nice and pizza-y, it's time to make a mistake. So I made a few mistakes while making this video. The first mistake was, after I formed the pizza crust, I should have baked it in the oven before adding the toppings. This would have made the crust firmer and given it more structure. So here's what I'd like you to do. Once you've formed your pizza crust, take a fork, poke some holes in it, and then stick it in the oven for at least 10 minutes. This is going to allow the crust to cook and become a little firmer. Once it's cooked, you can pull it out of the oven and then proceed to add your toppings. The second mistake I made was, before I added my tomato sauce and my mushrooms, I forgot to roll the camera. I know, right? So I'm really sorry about the confusion this may cause and the jumps in the video. I hope that this little segment of me looking you straight in the eye and apologizing and explaining myself will sort of clear up any confusion. Let's get back to the video and let's get back to making a great pizza. So what happened off camera was, I took 2 tablespoons of the tomato sauce that we prepared in the last video, and using the back of a spoon, I spread it over the pizza dough. Then I spread out the sliced mushrooms and I sprinkled some salt and pepper. Now what I'm doing is I'm just chopping up some mozzarella cubes and spreading them over the pizza. I'm also going to slice some olives and just sprinkle them as well. This is going to add a little bit of saltiness and a little bit of tartness. If you have pre-baked your crust, then this should just go in the oven until the cheese is nice and bubbly and golden. If you haven't pre-baked your crust, then it'll take about 20 minutes. Once the pizza is done, you can remove it and set it on a cooling rack, hit it with some salt and pepper, and just let it cool for 10 minutes before removing it from the sheet pan. To remove it, just dislodge it with a spatula and slide it off onto a cutting board. And at the end, we're just gonna hit it with some fresh basil and we're good to go. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I just want you to know that I really appreciate all the support and the suggestions in the comments. Please like, follow, share, and subscribe. And as always, stay safe, stay happy, and eat well.